Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Remodeling Unscripted podcast. And in this episode, we're going to continue our giving you a behind the scenes look at our new location up in Carmel at 811 South Rangeline Road that we're beginning to build out. We're very early in the process, but as we're very early in this process, one of the things I can tell you is that just like we find things in your homes, we found things in our soon to be future home. And we're going to show you a little bit of what we found and what we're going to deal with along the way, so that you know that you're not the only ones when we come to your home and we find something. It's not going to be where you're the only one experiencing that, because we're literally experiencing those things now. One of the things you can see in the area behind me is that it's wide open. We've got lots of wires hanging. We've got some framing lumber here, and we're in the process of opening all of this space up. It's going to be super cool when we're done. I'm very, very excited about it. I'm very excited about many of the partnerships we've got lined up in this building that we're going to introduce and bring to you. And hopefully this is going to be a great resource for other designers, architects, my custom builder friends, homeowners, anybody, any of our partners that are looking to share resources and collaborate. Hopefully we're going to incorporate some of those things in this building so it really becomes a true experience center, where you can touch and feel and open drawers and see the differences between one thing and another thing, and walk out of here with really good information, but a place where you can literally use things and experience things, as opposed to just looking at the display racks that we've got in our current location. So something very, very different. With that, I'm going to begin the tour, and I'm going to walk you through some different areas. And as always, if you have questions at the end, feel free to reach out to us, but hopefully you'll get a good sense of some of the things that we're seeing as well. So let's go on the tour. So here's the first thing that you'll see as I hide behind this wire here, is we have an angled wall that I was really hoping to straighten out. And the idea will be that this run will be the back wall of a kitchen wall, and we're gonna have cabinetry and appliances on it. But as we've got this angle here, the first thing we wanted to understand is, why is that angle there? Was it something that they did for appearance and to create flow in the space before, when I was looking at it, when we were looking at to buy? Or was there something hidden behind the wall? And lo and behold, there's something hidden behind the wall. So we've got some heating and cooling back there that we're going to have to deal with. That is not at all uncommon in any of your homes when we come in and we open up a wall and we see what's behind there. And sometimes we're finding ductwork that's going from basement up through the first floor to feed the second floor. Those are the types of things that we want to see early on, to see what's going where's it coming from, and what can we do to move it. So this is our first obstacle that we're dealing with as it relates to heating and cooling specifically. And it's just like your homes, except it's our home. I'm going to swing the view a little bit away from this kitchen wall that I just talked about to my left, and I'm going to focus on the windows behind me, because as we get into a project in this space, one of the things that we're doing is we're trying to maximize what we're showing and what we're going to provide to you as a client to see and to interact with. And one of the things that we know is that we do a large number of, I'm going to call them 4-panel bi-parting doors, where the doors slide apart in the middle. And it's a more cost-effective way to get that very big door look that you would typically see in a bifold door, where all the panels slide to one side and the whole space opens up. In this particular case, we're going to show the less expensive version of that, and we're going to show it right there. It wasn't in our initial plan, but the more time I spent in the space, the more time that I was actually looking at this going, why are we not maximizing the view both in and out of this space? And so we've adapted on the fly, which again is not at all uncommon relative to what you do in your homes every day, where you're looking at the space, you get into the project and you're like, okay, if we're going to do this, we might as well do this the way that we really want to, and not take shortcuts. So that is a quick add to our project that I didn't initially plan on adding, but now I'm going to. So this space is going to, that window on what is going to be your left, that window is going to open up, and it's going to be 12 feet long, and it's going to be 4 panels that are 12 feet long. And then this window on the right, we will keep so that we're actually going to show a functional casement window in this space, and we'll get more natural light in. We'll probably leave a window in its place, but we'll replace it in its current location. So not at all uncommon for changes to happen on the fly. That's a big part of actually what we're doing here. I've spent a lot of time just standing here for hours and hours looking at the space and trying to feel how will it act, how will people interact with the space. Everything that we do in here, I want to have a purpose, every last thing, and something that shows you something that we do in your homes, and that's one example of it. This one's for entertainment more than anything. We've taken out all of the bathrooms in this space, and we've left one stool for functional use. Generally speaking, right now it's a bunch of guys, and so we're working through that process as we continue the renovation and the build out. But we've created our own little private stool area, which I'll show you on the other side. This was a creation very, very recently. It was pretty much wide open before, just the stool sitting there and everything gone. And now we have a door on it, and I'll show that to you in a moment. But quite honestly, this idea has it's not the first time we've done something like this, as silly as it sounds. We did a project probably a handful of years ago where we had a client that we did an addition, and we did a kitchen and a laundry area, and we literally tore everything out around their washer and dryer and left a washer and dryer in the renovation area, very similar to something like that. And that washer and dryer stayed until we moved it so that the family of 6 could continue to survive in the remaining space of the house. We kept washer and dryer functionality for them, and it looked a lot like that. Ours is just a single stool and a bathroom. And in case you're worried, we actually have a sink area at the other end of the building that's still functional. That's a little countertop area that we've got functional water. So we're in good shape. Everybody can wash their hands, and if everybody will leave the building for a few minutes, somebody can actually use the bathroom and not have to leave and be unproductive. So there you go. I'll show you the behind the scenes of that here in a moment. Not a lot of space in our private little bathroom area, but it is equipped with a sign. Right now that sign says gentlemen. We have the one that says ladies in case we need to swap it out. And a nice little bathroom area equipped with no toilet paper holder, but toilet paper, so we're in good shape. Many times when we go into your homes, we find the presence of mold. We'll open up a wall and we'll see something like what you see here with the black visual on the back of the insulation. Now in this particular case, what's happened is when they built this building in 1988, it looks like they hung the plastic and they've trapped moisture between the insulation and that plastic. And we know that when you get areas that are dark and they're wet and they kind of retain moisture and they don't dry out quickly, you can create a breeding ground for mold. This has happened over many, many years, and this is the worst area right here. There are a couple of other little spots, but we're seeing it, and so we're going to deal with it. Just so happens in our particular case, we're going to make this a wall of windows, and so as we do that, we'll be dealing with it anyway. But there are a couple other little spots that have presented themselves, and it just is an indication that mold is present, and so that's what it looks like. You're not the only one. When it happens in your home, it's actually happened to us here, and we'll deal with it. So it's just kind of part of the process in our minds. It's not a big showstopper. We just have to deal with it and remove it properly and then move on, and we're in good shape. So just wanted you to see what it looks like and to know if it shows up in your house that you're not the only one that has had that problem. This area I'm going to talk behind the camera because I want to show you all of these law books that have been in this building since 1988 or shortly thereafter. And we have taken all of the law books that we want that we're going to keep with the building, but all of these books have to go. And so if you have an interest in any of these, please let us know. We'd love to find a good home for them. We've asked law libraries. We have not asked our attorney clients yet, but just letting you know that all of these books, even if you just need some cool books to line up on a bookshelf and look really smart, these are all available, and we'd love to find a good home for them. So again, not to make you dizzy here, but just want you to see we have lots of interesting things. Please let us know if you know of a good home for them so we can repurpose them and not put them in a dumpster, which many people, when we've called around, have told us to do, that everything is on the internet, but it's really hard to find really well-made, cool books anymore, and this is definitely a room full of them. The last issue that I'll talk you through today is related to the area behind that window area. Now, the first thing I'll tell you is that is going to be a super cool feature when we're all said and done, because I'm out in the main area of the showroom, and you're going to be able to look through to a wet room that's going to have a tub and shower in the same area. And the purpose of that window is going to be so when you're standing inside that bathroom, you can see what it would be like to look out through the space. But also when you're standing out in the showroom area, it's kind of a feature item that you can look through and see. The stool rooms are hidden and in a different area, but this is just to show what you can do with a higher end shower space. What are the possibilities? But the problem that we ran into is actually from that back to the corner. And the issue is that I got a call last week from Ben, and Ben said that wall is out 2.5 inches out. It's 2.5 inches out of square. Now, this is a well-built building, all brick, everything is done very, very nicely. It's been incredibly, impeccably maintained. But even in that scenario, when somebody was framing this in the early days, back in the late 1980s, 87, 88, when this was being built, somebody made a mistake back in that corner, and now we've got to fix it. So we have to come up with a way to hide 2.5 inches out of square, which we will do, and we'll talk you through what we ended up doing as we get there. There are tricks to it that we will apply to the space, and we'll lose a little bit here and a little bit there, and we'll square things up for what we need to do. But I just want you to understand that sometimes when we go into your home and we're dealing with existing conditions, we are not expecting everything to be square and perfect, because it very rarely happens that that's the case. It's actually more the exception than the rule. And in this particular case, in this building, was something that was incredibly well built and very well maintained. They still had a problem as well. And it's a problem that we've seen right on the front end as we were framing in that area back there, and now we're going to deal with it. And so just wanted to point out these types of things that we see in your homes that we're dealing with in our new home as well, because I think they're valuable lessons to say nobody's immune to running into a situation where they discover problems. That's what we're doing here, and we just to fix them, we just address them, we fix them, and we move on. And we don't get too worked up about it, because we can't change it anyway. So we'll work through it, we'll get things fixed, and we'll make them beautiful. So hopefully that's helpful.